and welcome back to Crazy Dave's Kitchen, where today we're making pita bread. There is nothing like homemade pita bread with just the basic pita bread ingredients. We're going to be having some bread flour, some whole wheat flour, a little oil, a little salt, a little sugar, and a little yeast. And it's going to make some fantastic pita bread right here in your own kitchen. So let's start out by adding some whole wheat flour. We have 1 1/4 cups of whole wheat flour. Then we have 1 1/4 cups of bread flour. And right now we're just going to add our yeast, a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 2 1/4 tablespoons. I think that equals a packet of yeast, and that's the instant yeast. We're also going to add our sugar at this time. And we're just going to let this mix for a few seconds, just so it gets a little bit combined. Just like that. Now we're going to add a 1/4 cup of whole milk yogurt, just plain whole milk yogurt. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil. And we're also going to add 3/4 cup of water at 110 degrees. We're going to let this mix for about 3 minutes or so until a nice ball of dough forms. So technically the dough should be sticky, but my dough is still a little bit dry. So I am just going to add in a tablespoon of water and continue to let this to knead for another 3 or so minutes. Okay, so right now my dough does appear to be sticky. It's a little sticky, and that's kind of just the consistency you want. You can add up to 2 tablespoons of additional water to make your dough stickier. I find that each time I make it, it is a little dry at the beginning. So now we're just going to let this sit in the bowl for 5 minutes. We're going to come back and we're going to add our salt, and then we're going to let the machine knead the dough for a good solid 10 minutes. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes now that the dough's been resting. We're just going to take our salt. We're going to add this to the dough, and we're just really going to run this for a solid 10 minutes until the dough becomes soft and pliable. Okay, so here we are. It's 10 minutes later, and our dough is nice and smooth, nice and pliable, nice and well combined. And we're really just going to form this into a ball. You can see how smooth and silky this is. This is exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to form it into a ball. I have a bowl here that has 1 tablespoon of grapeseed oil in it. And we're just going to coat the top of the dough ball and the bottom. And then we're just going to cover this with plastic wrap and let this sit for an hour. Just like so. And we'll come back in an hour and we'll cut it up into pieces that we need it to be in. So I'll see you in about an hour. Okay, so here we are an hour later, and here is our dough, nicely risen. And what we're going to do with our next step here is we're just going to take the dough out of the bowl. I don't know why I can never say that. And we're going to sprinkle some flour down onto our cutting board. I also have a parchment-lined baking sheet with some flour sprinkled on that too. And using our scale, we're going to weigh out 2 ounces each of the dough. We're just going to go to our ounce portion. We're going to take a dough scraper, and we're going to measure out 2 ounces roughly. That's pretty close right there. 2 ounces of dough. This is going to take a little bit. But just cut and go along the best you can. Okay, so we wind up with about 11. So we get a baker's dozen as far as the dough goes. Now you're going to take each 2-ounce roll and you're going to kind of tuck it in, and we're going to roll it into a ball as best you can. Just like so. I'm not a very good roller, but you want to try to avoid any splits in the dough. You want to try to roll it as best you can. It may be a little on the dry side, but we're gonna fix that shortly. Once you get it into a nice little ball, we're gonna place it on our parchment paper that we sprinkled with a little bit of flour, just like so. So each one, we're gonna just tuck them in and maybe add a little flour on there to give it a little grip. Just like this. And then roll it into a ball. And we're going to do this for all 11. And this would be great elbow therapy from my Athletico in Elk Grove. My final days are coming up, and my elbow is almost back to complete normal, so we can actually make bread and dough and use our elbow and lift that big, heavy mixer from the top of the fridge and bring it back down here. So showing great improvement. Thank you, Athletico, for all of your support. All right, so now that we've got all of our rolled pita puffs, so to speak, we're going to just take another tablespoon of grapeseed oil. We're just going to lightly coat each ball that we've rolled here. Now that we've coated them with the grapeseed oil, we're going to take a damp kitchen towel. We're just going to lay it right on top. And we're going to let this sit for another hour. And then while this is sitting for the hour, we're going to quickly heat up our oven to 500 degrees, and we're going to put in our baking stone or baking steel if you have it at home. Okay, so now it's been another hour, and you can see that the rolls have, the rolled up dough has come to be quite larger than before. So now our next step is we're just going to take a little flour on our board and a little bit for our rolling pin, and we're going to take each ball of dough and basically just roll it out into a 5.5-inch round, just working slowly. And if you have one of these dough scrapers with the measuring, you can see that's 5.5, and that's 5.5. So this is exactly where we want to be. I have 2 floured cookie sheets with parchment paper and some flour. We're just going to set those down right there, and we're just going to continue on with our additional balls of dough, just working to roll them out and place them onto the parchment lined sheets. Okay, so now that they're all rolled out and on the pans, we're going to start putting these in the oven. So our baking stone is nice and heated up to 500 degrees. So we're going to start with our first batch, and we're just going to lightly flour pizza peel. If you don't have a pizza peel, you can use the cookie sheets that are open on the end. You can use those instead. And we're just going to gently place 2 on our pizza peel. And we're just going to slide this onto the pizza stone for 3 minutes. And then in 3 minutes, we'll have pitas blowing out of our kitchen like crazy. And here we go. Here's 3 minutes. And here's a couple of nice pitas. Now we're set to set our next two in. Again, lightly flour. Take our next two rounds and drop those in for 3 minutes. Okay, so here we have our pitas are finally out of the oven and done. And like I say, not all of them are going to puff up. Some of them are going to lay flat. I think there's more science involved in there than my home cook mind can comprehend. So I have no answer as far as that's concerned. However, these are still very delicious. They are really soft, tender, and chewy. The yogurt helps with that, keeping that moisture content in there. If you like pita bread, I think you'll find this to be a rather fantastic recipe. Nice whole grain pitas, really not that complicated, not a whole lot of ingredients. Coming up in May, I'm going to have some recipes because I know you're saying, Dave, what am I going to do with 11 pitas? Well, one of them is for you to eat right away, so now you've got 10 pitas. And then from there, we're going to have some pita recipes next month that are going to be quick, easy, and really fantastic. If you like what you see here, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Currently 121 subscribers. Click down below for the full recipe. You'll be directed to my website, Crazy.daveskitchen.com. You can also subscribe there and get the latest recipe, full printable recipe on your tablet, smartphone, or computer at home. Thanks again for tuning in for our whole grain pita episode, and we will see you soon.